Hello. Sound check doing. Let it klink. Oh, gebruik die banner. Oh, cool. Yeah, that's okay as well. We got a special listen over here. Exclusive VIP room access to the podcast. Yeah. So I don't know how is this. Looks good, the audio. I think it is. So all right, let's turn this off. So today we're the second Shotcast episode. This is what we're gonna talk about is the work-life balance. I still have to get used to it, and of course, my prepping has to get still better. Still has to get better. But anyways, we're rowing with the reams that we have, or how do you say it in English? I don't even know. But let's get into it. So I'm kind of thinking doing this differently in the sense that I want to ask myself 5 questions that I try to come up with an answer. For now, I've only managed to get to the 3 answers or 3 questions, but in the future, I want to do a full preparation for 5 questions, and I can go through the 5 questions how I see it. So the work-life balance, my first question is how much productive time do we have in a week? So I never actually calculated this for myself. I think not everybody does this because we all know we can't plan our weeks perfectly. But we have about 112 hours of time each week if we sleep 8 hours a night. So that is a lot of time. I think we only sleep about 56 hours a week. 56. And that's more than double, or it's actually 1/3 of the hours, I think. Yeah, 8 is 1/3 of 24. Okay. Um, this doesn't um, this doesn't include daily chores and routine activities. So if you make a rough estimation for these two, we could say we lose about 2 hours each day to eating, personal hygiene, and maybe other similar stuff. This doesn't include being on social media or whatever, but we end up with 98 hours of productive time that we can spend on things we like, things we do for ourselves, things we maybe do for others. But these 98 hours, I can identify 3 areas in how we can spend this quote unquote free time of ours. So the first area would be interacting with family and friends. The second area would be time necessary for self development. And the third area would be actual productive time. So I would say this is a productive time that you can use to either perform your job or search for different things or do different things that um, works towards a better future for you or others around you. Um, I'm not sure, or I don't want to make any predictions about how this balance should be. I don't think there is one perfect balance. Everybody has their own balance or their own percentage of how much time they should invest in what kind of area. Um, Especially, I have no idea about older people than me. I do believe that they are probably way closer to their balance of those 3 areas than I am. But I do believe that some of us have a skewed idea of this balance or what it should be. Maybe overestimating one of these different areas and laying too much importance within that area, like I do for self development, for example. I take a lot of time for myself, especially in the when I was younger or a few years ago. I described or ascribed a lot of hours for myself to become who I want to be, and usually this was filled in a way that was not really that productive or working towards a better me, but I did stamp it as a self-development hours. So at some point, it's kind of obvious that we have to start moving more towards the center, moving away from being too specific in one zone or too overestimate or too invested in one area, and that we can either focus on family and friends, self-development, or on your productive hours. So what's kind of balance would work, I have no idea, but we maybe can start with a bad guess. So I think, I don't know what's the hypothesis called, or this way of operating, but basically you can start with a bad guess and then you can improve upon that guess, which with the second guess, and that second guess would always be better than your first guess. So if we take an easy bad first guess and we say we split it 3 ways, so we have this 98 hours. If we split it 3 ways, it's just under 33 hours a week that we can either spend on family and friends, self-development, or actually productive time. I'm saying actual productive time because we all know that we need the other kind of areas to also be fulfilled or at least present to some extent in order for us to be productive in a sense. There can also be people that don't have this productive time, but they will be overestimated in or over invested in family and friends or self-development time. So that was my first question. So I think we can start now with a bad guess or just a theory of, let's say we have 33 hours of productive time as a starting point. Second question then is, what types of employment are out there? What can we do with these 33 hours? How do we see us getting money? What do we do that maybe can fulfill ourselves and provide us with money that can actually be a comfortable future or comfortable life for ourselves. So there are many different templates out there. I think everybody knows some of them or many of them. But I do believe, or I do want to note, that we are in the most flexible time alive for our being. Like, obviously in the future it can be more flexible, but I think pretty much any arrangement or anything that would work for you, like if you don't want to work full days, you can only do half days. I think any kind of arrangement is possible to be present or available today. But for this example, let's take full-time employment. I quickly searched it on ChatGPT before. So we have 6 kind of different full-time employments that we can have. Can have a permanent contract. We can have a fixed contract, so with the expiration date. We can do interim work. We can be employed. We can be a civil servant, or we can work for the private sector. I don't really know what's the difference between the permanent contract and the private sector, but I guess this kind of depends if you only have one, if you only work for one company or you work for a company that outsources you to other companies, I would say maybe is a difference there. But anybody let me know. There are probably also possibilities to have a permanent contract within one company, but I think if you want to become kader, as they say in Belgium, then you become part of the private sector, as they say. So I'm not going into depth what each one of them has as benefits and as drawbacks, because I think everybody can understand, or anybody that talks with a few people know what the benefits are of each category. But as we can all tell, I think the 33 hours of work, of productive work, is very hard to apply in the given templates of work that we have these kind of days. I believe there are some possibilities, and under some conditions, for example, burnout or interim contracts or fixed contracts that don't have full weeks of work, but obviously they will pay less and maybe will not be that good of a possibility if you want to grow into a comfortable future. So I would say, like, if people are making enough money, I can only assume that, but I hope that when people are making enough money, and I don't know if there comes such a point that we believe we make enough money, that we step down from this working as much as possible and maybe return more to the bad guess example, to a 33-hour work week or something. I don't know. It's something that has been floating my head, but I don't know where this would be going. But this is kind of the theoretical, what we can have working, or what employment types there are out there. I know this is not the most hot stuff or the most in-depth for me. I wish I could go a bit more in depth there, but I don't also want to drag this out. So the third question would be, how would the family and friends, the self-development, and the work-life balance be different during different stages of our lives? So basically, when we grow up, we only have to balance between family and friends and self-development. I would mainly say this lies within family and friends as much, because when we're young, we try to mimic others around us. We try to get incorporated in the groups. We try to be part of it. We don't try to be an outsider. I don't think anybody really likes to be an outsider unless they're like a bit wired differently, I would say. So we don't spend a lot of alone time. Like literally, we don't sit alone a lot. We don't self-development a lot. We just mimic a lot of those around us. And I think a lot of not a lot, but some people do stick a bit too long in that phase. They don't really start self-development early enough, or don't start questioning enough their own actions and behavior early enough. I think this is even more problematic in the next generation, I would say. But I think every generation probably says it's for the next generation. So what am I to say? Maybe it's just normal evolution. I don't know. But there is no really concept of greater purpose or usage of productive hours. As a child, you're just doing things that are new and exciting, and you're just going on instinct and trying to be as happy as you can in that moment, I think. And that's a very genuine thing to live by, or like something that you can admire, but it's not really realistic, I would say. Once we grow older, we all realize pretty quickly that there's way more baggage to life than we like to believe as a child, and all the very big dreams gets toned down or sized down a bit. We don't really dream as big as we like to do, or take as big of steps as we would try to take. It's not really in our best interest anymore to be like that. We have to get serious and realistic with life, and don't try to go too fast too quickly. But when we get to school, we first get encountered with the currency of time. We start using our own time to invest, and this in ourselves, but also in something greater than ourselves. We don't always know where we will end up, and usually we go about recommendations of other people. We think, oh, they might have done this, or they know me and they would say this would be the best thing, and we try to take that path. We try to experiment. We don't always follow it, but usually it's the first thing we do. We listen to others around us and what they say would be best for us, or would be in our best interest. So we don't really know our fair steps for ourselves, because we haven't really self-developed. We don't know what we actually like to do. We just follow a path and are like, this I kind of like these things, I don't like these things, and then we deviate a bit and we start to take another direction with our studies or whatever, and it may be more in line with what we expect to do as we grow old, but still we don't really have any idea of what we're gonna do when we grow old, how it's gonna look like. For example, I studied biochemistry for 6 years, I don't know, 6 or 7, without really knowing. Like, I could have known, but not fully realizing what I was going to be when I actually finished with my degree. So when I got done, I was like, maybe it kind of isn't the real thing, or the thing I was looking for in life, or wanted to spend all my time on. So usually we start to follow this path. This path has been paved and cleared by many before us, many relatives or people that have the same interest or the same thoughts as you have. And this may have led to some sense of success or accomplishment for them, or like something that is defined by society. So if you're a doctor, you will have a lot of money, and this will be prestige, and it's a kind of a size societal stamp that they give, and okay, this guy really made it. He did the most difficult degrees, and he studied the longest, and he got the hardest work. And in some sense it's all true, but in another sense it's just one of many things that you can do in life. Like it's not the top for you. Like for me, it was never one of the top things I wanted to be. It was nice if I could be a doctor, but I know it was not something I would be like, oh, I really like fixing those people every day in and out. I really like this communication and this interaction with people, and I just knew this was not something for me. So why would it be at the top of my ideals or my societal idea what the perfect thing is to do? And I know I went a bit off track here, but this is the school, and the whole system is a very heavy investment for young people, just to get this certificate that quote unquote proves that you have certain competence and abilities to do certain stuff and be able to rationally think about certain things. I don't know, it has value, but it doesn't have value in the end. Like now that I have it, this certificate, I don't really use it. Like it's just a reference for, okay, this guy is not a total dimp, what fuck. He knows some things and he was able to do some kind of degree, so he must have some competence. But you don't really know until you speak with that person, or until that person is in front of you and you have a conversation with them, or they try to tell you or enlighten you about something. So here in this stage of our lives, this balance heavily shifts towards the productive hours, and especially studying and putting in work that doesn't really has any real return. It's not something at the end of your 6 years that you're like, okay, I have 10,000 euros in my bank account, or I have this job lined up for me there. It's all still part of who you are, what you're gonna be willing to undertake while you're studying and doing that. So it doesn't really feel like developing skills, but more like a networking or social thing that you should do to be able to pass in this group or be able to become this group, whatever. But there's no intrinsic real value in the start except from getting the knowledge. But if you don't even use the knowledge, in my case, like what did I had from value for those 6 years? So it's kind of difficult to put any real returns in there or paint anything that could be, yeah, for everybody the same. So we still remain unclear. We are still studying. We think we're going in the direction we want to go. We think we're getting there. And maybe for some people it is, but I guess for most people, we graduate and it's like, okay, I still have no fucking clue where I want to go. I still don't know if this is the perfect job or the perfect knowledge thing I want to think about, or that I want to do these things for the rest of my life. We don't know. Nobody knows. So we all just do this next thing that society says. So what's the next thing? We get out of schools, our training wheels fall off, and now we're supposed to get better, earn more money. So yeah, what is the next thing we are doing or we should do? So I guess most of us fall a few times. We start pedaling and we don't know where we're going. We fall off and we get up straight and we go somewhere else, and eventually we start to get a hold of ourselves. We start to be able to reliably go through life and be like, okay, this is comfortable living. I make my own money, I do my own laundry, I get my own food, and now what? Like, what is the next task in my life? And it feels like work was just one part of another stage in my life that society says you have to take, and doesn't really give the fulfillment that I was hoping it could give, or the happiness it was supposed to be giving. I don't know. It's there are no like real things I would say to you, Fana, but there are some kind of societal pressures for you to be the best of yourself, or to aim for the highest form of yourself, and in the end it doesn't really say anything about what you will feel and will achieve later on in life. There's no really the paths they've cleared or that are laid before us are just going where these persons are, and that's not really like a path. That's, I don't know, just feels like a road that gets you faster to somewhere, but it's not really, it can never be your real destination. When is the last time that you're like on the ring from Antwerp and you're like, okay, this is my destination, the ring here, like I am supposed to be here. Unless somebody breaks down or something, it's never a destination. It's always a place to somewhere else. So what is this somewhere else? Where is this place, this destination, or the end goal for me? I don't know. Like, I don't think anybody can know. And that seems to be what might prevail in our working lives. I don't know. I'm just 2 years working and a bit, but we're still on the highway. We have not taken an exit yet. We're still going towards something that I don't know where it lays. But we'll see about that. That's why I think it is a bad guess to say like, oh, we should go 3 ways. But on the other side, 33 hours of your time, it's still a lot, but it can be put more in perspective. Okay, this does not take up the whole week, or this is not who I am, who I truly am. I'm not this work-life person that mainly works. No, I work 1/3 of my free time, and that's not even all. I still have other things to do and other achievements to get. So I feel like we are in a constant state of searching for the one route or the one best thing or the one destination we should go, or like it feels always like we're looking for the next exit or the next thing we should go for. But I think looking for a place that can give us fulfillment, success, and happiness is something that is reinforced by us, by societies, or by ourselves. Maybe like we try to think that they all lie within one place, but I believe in eventually these three things, fulfillment, success, and happiness, are, you can never find them in the same place. They're not something, another destination that you're like, okay, I have arrived and now I'm happy, I'm fulfilled, and I have success. Like, these are three things that we have to find in different areas of our lives. And that is why I think the three-way split is something that can be, it should not be taken literally, but it's something like relative. Like, if I think if you want to achieve or get close to these three things, you have to look for them in their respective fields. Like, maybe fulfillment can be found in self-development, and success can be found in productive hours, when you can find happiness with family and friends. There's not one area that has all three of them. Maybe you find two of them in one area. I don't know, but I feel like we should optimize more looking in other areas, or like, at least for myself, I know like I said before, I've overestimated or like I invested too much time in quote unquote self-development, that I did not think to do any other things or develop any other areas of my life to be able to be happy and stuff. So it's kind of a no-brainer maybe for some people, but for me it was like, okay, I cannot just do one thing and be all these three things in the same time. I cannot expect to have a work that makes me happy and fulfills my life and also be successful in it. It's kind of unrealistic, I think. So yeah, maybe the three-way split is not that far-fetched of an idea. Maybe it's something that can be thought of when making decisions, and we realize that in some parts of our lives we lean more towards one area, but that we always keep ground of the center of the, okay, we want to be equally spread out this time and have equal investments of this time in these three areas, or like relative equally. But yeah, it's just me. Maybe it's all horseshit and whatever, but I feel like that's better than what society expects us to do. Like, society believes that we should be the most productive selves or most productive persons of ourselves, that we make the most money for them and for the country, and that we pay the highest taxes and whatever. Like if you make more money, you just pay more taxes. Like obviously there is like a very um extremist, or how you say it, like it's like something you cannot really achieve, because once you get close, it gets really, the slope gets really high, so it's difficult to really achieve one thing, and it's way more known, or like I think way more easy to accomplish a few, like these three things, like a bit of them or a good portion of them in each three of them, without completely throwing off this balance, or without good throwing off this balance, I would say. So yeah, that's I think that was the third question, and these were the threes I prepared. So now I'm just gonna go freewheel about it. So the fourth question I had is, what about if your work is the real thing that you really want to do in life? What if it's the thing you wake up for in the morning and the thing you go to for sleep, and it maybe gives you fulfillment, success, and happiness, and maybe you are like the different kind of people that I don't feel like can exist. Maybe you are this legend, and I would really urge you to talk with me about it, because I'm struggling very hard to find any possibility in these three areas, or these three things being in the same area. I think we cannot, especially in work. I don't think we can all find them all three. Like fulfillment and success, I guess they are the most obvious one for work, but happiness, like I feel like this is something, I don't know, it's an emotion that's is very difficult to link with work. I think it's always intertwined with some other emotion like fulfillment or something, but it's not something you can solely ascribe to working. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like there's more in life than doing that one task that you're very good at, or that one company that you can run very efficiently. There's different cities, different countries, different time zones, different games, different. There's so much different stuff in life that doesn't involve your work, that you, I think, can also find happiness, or even more happiness, or more complete set of happiness. I don't know. It's maybe a portion of happiness that you can find, is maybe a better way for me to say it, but I don't believe it's really something you can solely find in your work. So I would love to get deeper on this one, but I have too little self experience with it. I don't know too much about it. So I would just go to the last question. I think already talking for 28 minutes, so I think we're right on time. What do I have now, and what would fit best for me? What would I see myself doing, and or how would I see my own future? I think obviously, like, nobody really knows their own future. I think it would be pretty boring if we know our own future, what we would be able to achieve, because then we maybe would not put the same effort, or would put more. I don't know. It would be different, and then the timelines would change again, and it would just be a Christopher Nolan movie that makes us confused, us all confused. So I see myself working like 5 days at work. My work 5 days a week now. I think for the moment we all have to lean into this direction. This is pretty much what is necessary for us to survive, or to be comfortable living in Belgium. I think we have to invest more time than the theoretic 1/3, 33 hours a week. But eventually, it's something I would like to work towards. I think working 4 days a week at some pay level, I think it's more beneficial that you also start to work on your own thing, or do other thing that fulfill or make you happy other than your job, because maybe when you're making like 10,000 a month, like, you have to pay so much taxes that it doesn't even matter if you're making 10,000 a month or 8,000 a month. I think at some point it becomes too much. So I would say I don't know what I have no idea where my pay grade will go and how fast it will go, but I would say at some level, like maybe at 6, 7 thousand um brutto a month, I would say like okay, now I feel like I'm making enough to sustain myself, sustain the ones around me, and not um be too much or get too much more comfort if I work this 1 day extra a week. So that is one possibility, I would say. I think that one is the most um, obvious one for me. If but I think in the meantime, I would like to go even harder on this, leaning towards productive side, because I think I've spared or invested a lot of time in self development already. I think I can shift my focus a bit more towards being productive, especially when I'm not fully productive at my work. I think I can get more out of it in my free time, and that's why I also think it would be a waste of me to be wasting my prime years or the best years of my life or the most productive years of my life not trying to get or try to get something I really want to do or do the things I really want to do. So I believe for me now working 5 days a week is okay. If it would be less, it would be better, of course. But I don't think I have too much to worry about. I think my balance is getting better. It's still not the best, obviously, but I think I'm way more centered than before, which makes it more easy because I can switch between the three, and I can, if it's one area is not going as I wanted to go, I can still find the two other fulfillments or whatever in other areas. So for me now, I'm just gonna try to put in as much time, productive time as I can. Try to go for the things I want to achieve, and if it gets too much, if I get burned out too much, you got, yeah, I'm happy it's a thing nowadays. Like people can more easily talk about it in a working environment, and it's also way more accepted to be like legitimately be burned out about your job. Like you've nothing to look out for, nothing exciting going on in the future. So I think that's a good time. Like obviously you want to do it before, but before you get burned out. But even in older generations, it was not possible to get time off for a burnout or something. So maybe the ultimate goal, and I don't know, it's something I have recently heard, but like maybe the work ethics in Belgium or the work standards has to change. I'm a huge proponent of putting the bar lower and just making whenever it works, put the bar lower. Like you don't have to overdo yourself at your job if you're not fully achieving one of these emotions or um, goals in your life, fulfillment, success, or happiness. If you're not finding that in your job, I don't feel like you should be investing all of your time. You should not be working overtime for free. You should not. You should be able to guard your hours and be like, okay, you gave me this 40-hour week contract. I'm working 40 hours. I'm even doing more. I'm sitting in the car for you. I'm going to these different customers. So I would really urge to, yeah, be confined or limit your time that you gave away to others in the working environment. And I don't know, maybe go more for self development or family and friends. I don't know. So it's different for everybody, but for me now, yeah, that's about it. I'm just looking over. I've been talking, rambling, monologue for half an hour. Did it make any sense?
I was pretty curious that who really were they would also
So yeah, I
how
don't
they
know.
manage it,
Yeah,
you know.
if people really like to do their job, but it's difficult. I think I think a lot of people like to believe that the job is everything they want to achieve in life, but maybe if they have more time for themselves, they would be able to envision other goals or other Like, can somebody hold one goal for the like? I
What
want to
careers
run
are
this
they?
business for my whole life.
Yeah, balance.
Uh,
The other part, because then they do their life balance.
yeah, but I don't think. I think we have a lot of questions, so mm, something totally different. See, the chess I'm at the option place is going into options exposed. But yeah,
Are they
I think
things? Are there things that you covered while you were like oh,
yeah,
so
I've not searched so deep enough.
there's nothing new
I've
that you.
usually I've only been busy with writing my own mind on the paper and not really
I
searched too
okay.
much. But I think yeah, I don't really think it's something theoretically that you can search online and you find the answer. I think it's more about putting it in this kind of balance idea on okay, maybe I am leaning towards working too much or towards self development too much in this time, and I should try to step more in the center again. I think it's more about trying to find your own balance in within that three-way thing that works for you, and that's why I wanted to use a three-way split. Like you can envision it something like a don or I don't know like so like a
The
Weeble
balance
thing,
board
and you have to
something.
try to balance it, but you don't know where the heavy point is. Zwaartepunt. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know how you say it, but I think it's not something you ever can fully achieve. Me, I don't know. I think it's always like you're stepping around a bit
It's
because you're
always
not
gonna be
sure.
shift and compensate. Life balance is that one up. Let's go. That's
Yeah, I think so.
that's really the balance that I'm looking for. I think.
But at some point is, allee, if your job, let's say, it just sucks, and if it sucks so for such a long time, the
Yeah.
counterbalance
Then
has
it
to be
outweighs everything.
really
Yeah.
high in order for you to still feel somewhat happy or respected or whatever
Yeah.
in life.
Yeah.
And
Back to
I think that way it's more. Yeah, I don't know. It's something you have to be more presently active with. Like it's not something like if you're working for 5 years and all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, I'm burned out. No, it's something you have to remind yourself each step of the way. Like, okay,
yeah. Be
yeah,
with
and just
the
realize if I make this decision, how will this impact these three different areas of me? How will my family and friends portion of life looks like if I go to the internationally to a different city or to a different country to work?
yeah.
It's all
That's
decisions you make, and in the beginning you cannot really know it, but always something. Yeah, obviously it's something you should consider, but it's not something you can maintain for a long time unless you have a clear plan. I think you lean onto one of the areas too much, it will always outweigh the other. I think.
yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. But I think it's important that we like it's more three-way thing for me than a two-way work life because
Yeah.
in life you can have family and friends for me
Mm.
and you can have your personal self-development time.
Yeah.
And I believe you cannot fully rest on one or the other to fulfill your life part of the
Yeah. No.
balance. So,
Cannot forget. You are the center.
I think it's more like a galaxy, or how you say it's a stellar. Also, like might be
Not
the
even.
sun of something, and people float around to you in your perspective, but you're also floating around a bigger thing that you don't know.
Mm.
Like, I think everybody is similar. They are the sun of their own galaxy, but they don't know in what kind of bigger life trajectory they're going through space and time. Like
Yeah.
all like they know each galaxy rotates around the center of black mass, and we didn't know that before. Like it's something similar for me. We don't know this black mass or what is pulling us all together in this same area or the same trajectory in life, but we know it's doing something with us, and that we're all bound by the same flow and direction.
You're like not there.
Yeah, yeah, of
The self
course. The
is
self
kind
is
of
very
like
present or
the most. Then you can go around. If
I
you
don't
go,
know. It
you go about.
I kind of grew up in this self-centered idea a bit more than others, I would say. Um, but I would not say it's the preferable choice. I think kind of defines or shapes a person how they think and are, and it's not bad to be more dependable on your family or friends, or less dependable on them, or more busy with work or less busy with work. I don't think there's one thing that is better than the other, or
No.
but I think we all have to develop each area in our own extent and to our own extent.
Yeah.
And I believe that for me, I have a long time. I've not been very balanced in my life, I would say. I've leaned too much towards self development or self fulfillment, I would say more is a better word, maybe. Instead of relying on family and friends, or working towards something that I want to achieve in my life. So,
Things that go.
also, yeah, that's very true. Also, more aware of or present in how things are moving around me, instead of just undergoing what's happening to me. I think a lot of people who knew me were know me as a very easygoing, go with the flow person, and like I don't say I want to be a rock in a river, but I want to carve my own path a bit more. I want to, I don't know, be more like a fish that can go a bit more to the
Yeah.
sides or a bit upstream if it liked what it saw there. But eventually we all go to the sea, so if we just go down the river or we struggle a bit, we all end up in the same place. But just a mindset, I think, that changed a bit for me. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we'll end it here. Um, 43 minutes. I think it's perfectly timed. Happy with what I was able to say. I always hope for something better, but I guess I just have to grow into it. It's just live, also. Things happen, and you have ideas of how they're going, and then you actually have to realize them, and then there are a lot of steps in between. So, yeah, I should just be
Mm.
happy with what I can and that I do, and just improve
Growing.
upon that.
That's cool.
But yeah, maybe next time that I want to do more in depth. But I always say it. I think
I really.
I'm just gonna not gonna say it and just surprise you guys one of the times maybe. But anyways, thank you for listening, and thank you for what listening in close, and
Okay.